Greetings and welcome to the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Brett Ferraro, and we have a great show for you today. With the Battle Mountain girls ski team winning the state championship for the second year in a row, we thought we would bring in one of the head coaches, Jeff Apps, and talk to him about their season and their big win. Also, we got a chance to sit down with an amazing professional snowboard cross athlete, Senna Leith, as he has made his way home in between touring the world. But first, we're going to talk about playoffs for basketball. The Eagle Valley men's basketball team faced off against Lewis Palmer on Wednesday. This was going to be a tough game for Eagle Valley as they were the underdogs in a 27th seed against a 6th seed matchup. They fought valiantly and it was an extremely close game, but unfortunately they came up short with the final score being 82-71. While it was unfortunate that Eagle Valley lost in the first round, we want to congratulate all the athletes for making it to the playoffs in an extremely tough 5A division. In other news, we had two teams from our valley make it into the 2A division playoffs. Both the Vail Christian Saints and the Vail Mountain School Gore Rangers had an amazing season so far this year, with the Saints going into the playoffs ranked first and the Gore Rangers coming into the playoffs in third. Vail Mountain School faced off against Hayden on Tuesday, winning the game with a score of 39-34. It was an extremely close game, but our Gore Rangers managed to close the doors and make it into the next round. The Saints got a bye and will face off against our very own Gore Rangers tonight. It'll be a great game, so be sure to go out and support our local teams. We got to take a short break, but when we come back, we are talking all things Senna Leith, so stay tuned. We had the fabulous professional snowboarder Senna Leith come into the studio to talk to us about his competition season. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to Good Morning Vail. We have so many incredible athletes here in our community, and we've got U.S. snowboard team athlete Senna joining me on the couch. Good morning, Senna.
Good morning. Thanks for having me in.
We love having you in only because you get to go on the coolest adventures ever, and we love getting to take the time and hear about the adventures and know where you're going, where you've been, what you've been doing, and you've had an incredible season so far.
Yeah, it's been nonstop. I feel like I've traveled more than I ever have, which is like hard to believe that I could travel more than the last couple of years, but just like I've barely even been here. It's been so busy.
I know, you have been insanely busy. I follow you on social media only because then I'm like, wow, look where he is now. It's so beautiful there.
Bouncing all over the place. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you just had a really good race.
I did.
So let's talk about it.
Yeah, so it was in Cortina, which is funny because I actually live on Cortina Lane here in Vail, so I like going to Cortina. It feels like a home away from home in a way. And yeah, it was a night race, which was like a really cool energy. And I actually barely qualified in. There was kind of weird windy conditions in qualifying. I was like, oh my gosh, just get me into the heats, you know. And I snuck in, and then we had the race the next night under the lights, and there was all sorts of people there. It was just a great energy, and it was like some of my best racing I've done in the last couple of years, so it was awesome.
And because of this race, you just made it to
World Championships.
A bigger race.
Yeah.
One race to the next race to a bigger race.
Yeah, and World Champs is awesome. It's kind of like flies under the radar a little bit because of the Olympics, but it's very similar in terms of the team size. There's only 4 athletes that get to go to World Championships, just like the Olympics, and it's an event that only happens every 2 years. I made the World Championships team last time in 2021, which was in Sweden, which was awesome, but it didn't go as well as I'd hoped. So I'm ready for some redemption, and it's going to be in Georgia, which is kind of a crazy country to go to.
Which, I mean, you just get to go to the coolest places, but also you're in front of these large crowds at some of them. So this last one, this night race in Cortina,
yeah.
I can only imagine having all of those people there as you're like competing head to head with all these other
so
incredible
electric.
athletes. Yeah.
It's amazing. I remember like the first heat I came down because I won my first heat, and I come into the finish and it's like the DJs are going, there's like people partying. I'm like, this is insane right now. It's like, but you kind of feed off that energy, and luckily that night I went all the way to the small final. So I got to race every single heat that was kind of every round that was available that night. So I got to feed off that energy as much as I could.
All right, let's just talk a little bit about your sport, only because I find it to be so fascinating. And for people who don't know what snowboard cross is, maybe this is a good time to teach them a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, I like, so it's pretty easy to understand. You know, it's just first person across the finish line. Gate drops, 4 people to go through a crazy course of rollers, jumps, bank turns, mayhem, and whoever across the finish line wins.
Now, let me ask you, what is it like when you're side by side competing with someone like this? Is it really scary because you're like, oh my gosh, if they slip or if I slip, like we're both going down?
So funny enough, that's my friend Glenn from the Netherlands, and that was at the Cortina night race, and that was the first heat. And he was actually like pushing into me in that turn, like Like that was kind of a scary moment, but I'm glad I got photographed. I mean, we're like total friendly competitors, but it was like intense in that moment.
I mean, it looks intense, and just knowing that you're on your backside edge, he's on his toe side edge, and you guys are literally head to head.
Butt to butt, full speed. Yeah.
Full speed right there, which is something that I think is so impressive in the sport that you do. And then the next photo that we were showing, you were obviously jumping off of something quite large.
Yeah, that was in Austria earlier this year at a training camp, and it was like end of the day. I was like, I just want to snag this cool photo because it was so like there was an angle on the step down in the course that you could just like looks like you're jumping over the mountains, and a little photographer inside me was like posting my teammate up. I was like, all right, just hold it just like this. I'll tell you when I'm coming, and came out pretty
Just
well.
like snap a bunch of photos.
Yeah, just hold it down, don't move. I'll do the rest.
So what do you do to prepare mentally for all of these big competitions?
Well, I'm lucky to work with a sports psychologist that really helps me kind of keep grounded and just kind of focusing on one thing at a time. You know, if you look at the season as a whole, you can get kind of overwhelmed by the vastness and the magnitude of all the different competitions and just kind of a chaotic schedule. But if you just go one thing at a time, helps kind of compartmentalize in your head, you know, and just keep focused on one task, accomplish that task, move to the next one.
Which we've talked multiple times on this couch, and I asked
Yeah.
you what the best piece of advice you'd ever received was, and that was it. By making sure that you do every little thing, day by day, competition.
It's all in the details.
Right, and I think it's so important that a lot of the people that are at home maybe don't understand how intense these competitive fields are, and especially when you're butt to butt, like trying to push your friend over.
Oh, for sure, I know. The stress is just insane, but you kind of have to find a way to take that stress and use it just in a positive way, like to help it fuel you, because it's so easy to kind of crumble underneath that stress. So you kind of have to like shift your perspective for it. That was actually that photo is awesome because that was probably my favorite day this year, or maybe my favorite day this year. That was actually at a European Cup race. Funny enough, the guy that's in the lead in that photo is that same guy Glenn that was butt to butt with in that turn. But yeah, I got second at that race, which was it was a crazy stacked European Cup race, which is a step below the World Cup, but almost the entire World Cup field was at this race. So it was super competitive and some of my best racing I've done. There's me with my coaches. Got Nathan on the right there, and then Rob Fagan on the left. Nathan's another Vail local, so holding the trophy for me.
We love to see you guys, and we love to see all of these Vail athletes really just like going out there and making huge names for our community. And you absolutely crush it. Look at you up in the starting gate. Okay, so we have to talk about this.
That was in France.
Only because what goes through your brain when you're standing in that starting gate?
Well, you used to get like a lot of anxiety when you're standing in the start gate, or even when you hear like the start cadence and the gate drop, your heart starts to race a little bit. But the more time you spend in it, the more comfortable you are there. And now it's just kind of like an extension of where you're at. And I used to get kind of weird about like a little series of things I do for myself, like a certain amount of breaths I take and like close my eyes for 2 seconds. And then I've kind of like gotten over that now because I'm just so comfortable in the start gate. I just get in there and it's like, all right, this is where it's time to go to work, focus, look at what you need to do and accomplish it.
How do you feel as a human being for your passion getting to be your job?
I'm like the luckiest person ever. Yeah, that's all I know. I mean, it's a ton of work, but at the end of the day, I'm just like so happy and so fortunate that I get to do what I get to do. And I'm just honestly just so lucky.
So the big competition is this weekend, correct?
Well, we fly there this weekend. We're actually stopping in Austria on the way for a quick training camp. And then I think we're there for 5 days, and then we start the journey over to Georgia. And yeah, I don't even know the dates. I guess I should probably know the dates. It's like the end of the month, though.
Now, if people want to see what you're doing, where you're going, and how you're shaping up in all of these incredible competitions that you're part of, where can they kind of follow along?
The best place where I'm the most active is on my Instagram, just at senna leith. But throughout Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, I'm pretty active on all of them now. And also just the US Ski and Snowboard social media channels as well provide a lot of good info for our races and different competitions that we have going on.
And of course, you're going to be traveling again, so you're not going to be here. You're not going to be home for a little bit. But
And I'm leaving for like 5 weeks.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'll be back and it's like springtime.
That's so crazy to me. I mean, you're leaving.
Which is my favorite time of the year here for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
That and summer. That and like the middle.
Like winter's great, but like spring is really great.
I know, and the skiing and snowboarding is amazing then. Now, when you leave, what's the thing that you miss most about our wonderful community?
All the friends here. It's just such a happy place to live with a bunch of like-minded people. You know, I love going and grabbing coffee, going to the gym, just seeing all my friends and people I care about, and just a whole bunch of people that enjoy doing all the same things that you do and are supportive of each other. That's what I miss, the community.
Now, if we have any young athletes watching the show right now, what piece of advice would you give them if they want to end up on the same journey you're on?
Just work hard as you can, and nothing comes quick. Like that's the thing is you want it to come as fast as possible. Like I want this level of success now, but honestly, just keep hard working, and over time, all of a sudden, you're there. Yeah, one thing at a time. It's so easy to just like be impatient. I want this now, I want this now. But honestly, if you just work hard, eventually the results come.
The results do come, and you had such an incredible season last year too, and just like getting to spend time with you and chat with you and know everything that you're doing and going through, and like having you openly talk to us about your mental health and what you do to stay positive while you're on the road, because you do miss your friends and you do miss your family, and that's all really hard. It's so inspiring to just know that you're living your full dream, but like also you're so candid and transparent about these things.
Thanks.
You're welcome. That it makes it so much more incredible to sit down and chat with you.
Well, thanks. It means a lot.
We love having you in here, and we're like really rooting for you now for your big competition, World Championships. That's huge.
Yeah, I love being at competitions and knowing that people back home are actually rooting for me. Like the support from the community really means a lot. Like getting messages, thank God for FaceTime. You know, like
Right.
stay connected with the people I love and care back home, and it's nice knowing you all are rooting for me.
Oh, we're always rooting for you, especially here at TV8. And you can just like send us updates, and we'll like update everyone from where we are, because we think it's so important, and we think that what we do as a community and to have these athletes come out is just like amazing. And so congratulations.
You guys are lucky to have a bunch of amazing athletes in this valley. So
I know.
the talent pool is thick here.
I know, and congratulations.
Which I used to think was, sucked when I was younger, because I see some friends from other places that the talent pool is not as crazy, they're already stars, and now I'm here, I'm like, gosh, I have to compete against all these people to even make a name for myself. But now, once you kind of get to that level, you're like, God, this is pretty awesome to be from such a talented community.
Right. All right, well, Senna, thank you so much for being here, giving us all this great information, and congratulations on
Thank you so much.
being
And I'll stop in when I'm back. So.
Yeah, we would love that. Give us an update on everything.
And we got like 4 or 5 World Cups coming up, so.
Holy cow. All right, cool.
Nonstop.
All right, we'll see you back here in just a little bit. Make sure that you follow him on social media at Senna Leith. That way you can follow along with all of the adventures, and you can see how he does in these big competitions he has coming his way very shortly. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more Good Morning Vail, so stay tuned.
The Battle Mountain girls ski team won the state championship for the second year in a row this year. We had Jeffrey Apps, head of the Nordic division of the team, come in and talk to us about their season and their great win. Let's take a listen.
If you've had the chance to tune into the Scoreboard recently, well then you've seen that the girls Nordic team from Battle Mountain High School just won the state championship, and I'm here with Jeff Apps, one of their amazing coaches. Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's so nice to have you guys here. It's so nice that we have such incredible coaches throughout our community that are so involved in what they're doing as they're totally shifting these kids' lives.
Yeah, the coaches that we get to work with, and I actually want to give them a shout out if I could.
Of course.
At Battle Mountain, we have we have a great alpine team which has about 70 kids on their team, and the head coach there is Eric Gilbert. His assistant coaches are Kelly Wyatt and Greg Gibbons. And then on the Nordic side, it's myself. I got the opportunity to coach the last 3 years with my son, Christian Apps.
Wow.
And then Lisa and Ines Isom are also the coaches, and it's kind of that dream team of fun.
It is that dream team of fun, and I can actually speak to that because Ines Isom was my science teacher
I figured that.
in middle school way back when, and so it is cool to see him still involved, but it is cool that knowing the kids that are now growing up in our community are also having the same opportunity to have these very influential adults in their life. Yourself, Ines Isom, Lisa Isom, all of them. And so we want to congratulate each and every one of you guys for all of your accomplishments. So let's talk a little bit about the season and leading up to the state championship.
So we start training in November 1st for dry land. And it's whenever the snow flies and we can get on snow. And so we have, our sport along with alpine is a no-cut sport. So whoever shows up gets on the team.
Right.
And so we'll start then, but then we also get all of these phenomenal athletes that are coming from the cross-country season. And if you recall, Battle Mountain has an incredible cross-country team under Coach Parrish, and they have legendary athletes coming out of that. And so we're that transitional sport between the fall cross country and then spring track, where ours is a glide sport. So if kids want to get stronger, stay in shape, and then not hurt themselves unless they fall or do something like that. But so we get a ton of really good athletes in the winter that still want to stay fit.
Which I think is really important, and we were just talking off camera about making sure that you're constantly moving your body, not only for the health benefits, but it helps up here with the altitude, and then it helps you mentally too.
Well, that's a big part of it, and we'll start on snow. We start training, and the kids get out of school, and we'll get on snow at about 4:30. And then in December, it's dark at 5.
Right.
So we're typically either in headlamps, and it's usually not warm then. So the idea of if you don't move, you're going to get cold.
Right.
So there's a big incentive to constantly move to keep warm.
Right, and so when you guys are doing your dry land training, what kind of things are you doing leading up to getting on the snow and doing the gliding?
So Nordic is one of those sports, and our races are all 5 kilometers. So that's the high school distance. And it all depends on hills, flats, but most of the courses are extremely hilly.
Here, yes.
And we have to go up the hills to go down the hills. So it's one of those sports is like, why would you do that? Well, these kids love the ability to go to that next level physically. And so training-wise, we're doing a lot of burst type workouts, lunges, bounding, and then again, these kids are coming from other sports. Our job is to get their upper body strong, because in Nordic, you're using your upper body as part of that engine to propel forward. So you use your legs, the upper body, arms, stomach, and then also, of course, your lungs. And if you've ever tried to skate ski without practicing, it's like swimming. The first time you hop into the pool, you're like, I'm going to drown.
Right.
And so here it's a full body workout, and your oxygen in your heart will start screaming at you within about 2 minutes to say stop, lay down.
Right.
And but then they get used to it, and then it takes about 30 days to get that upper body used to it.
Which I think is really important that you guys know all of this and you know how to help these kids make this transition, right? From the cross-country running to then the Nordic skiing. And you've been doing this for quite some time.
Yeah, I got into it. My kids were into it. And I cross-country skied before I downhill skied. And then I learned, I think it was middle school, I said, there are chairlifts that take you up the hill? I'm like, no way. Parked the cross-country skis, went to downhill. And then came back to it about 20 years ago. And then the equipment changed, the gear changed, and it got phenomenally fun. And now the Nordic environment here in the valley and around the state, alpine skiing is great, but Nordic skiing to me is just so peaceful and beautiful out there.
And we have some incredible places to do it. So I know that you guys use the Vail Nordic Center to train pretty frequently, and that's such a beautiful area. The views are incredible. The track is well groomed. So that just shows what our community does to make things like this happen.
And they give us a great discount. And again, big shout out to Vail Rec and to Dan Tim at the Nordic Center. Hope he gets out of town. He's scheduled to do the Berkey this weekend, which my son is at also. So it's a race back in Wisconsin. 50-kilometer race, which is insane. 13,000 people do this, and you're like, what? Why are there so many crazy people?
Right.
So the Nordic philosophy is one of, it is such a beautiful sport that when you get in it and you get over that learning curve, which can be really quick, and then you'll see there's a beauty to it and a passion to it that there's all these other slangs, but it's a sport that you can do the rest of your life.
It is something you can do for the rest of your life, and maybe if you're someone who's had multiple knee injuries, this isn't going to be one of those high-impact sports where you're
Correct.
like constantly worried about risking your knees again. Now, if you were to give one piece of advice to anyone who is interested in maybe trying this sport out, what would you say?
Go try it. You know, the first step is there's 2 different types of Nordic. There's the classic skiing where there's a track and it's a lane and your skis stay in the track. And then the second is skating, where you're in a ski that has, and you're just like skating back and forth. And there's a comic out there, Jim Gaffigan, again, shout out to him because he won't respond to me. He did a Nordic slam of, you know that part on the chairlift where you're skiing to the chairlift? And he goes, yeah, let's do that all day. And he's like, why would people do that? But he won't respond, and if he ever comes out, I would love to give him and his 5 kids a private lesson to show them the beauty of the sport.
I would love that for you, and if you make that happen, we'll be there to cover it for you. Thank you so much again for coming in, giving us all this great information, and thank you for the hard work that you do with these incredible athletes that we have here in our community, and congratulations on the win.
Thanks. The girls are amazing. They're so amazing. And the best part, quick shout out to them, all of them are coming back.
Yes.
So
That's what we like to see, because we like to be part of your celebration and part of your victory, and so we cannot wait to see the incredible things that you guys do next year.
all right, thank you very much.
Make sure that if you run into any girls that you see in a jacket just like his that are on the Nordic team, that you give them a big, huge congratulations, because they did just win the state championships here, and that's a huge deal for us. So get out there, give them a big round of applause, and make sure that you congratulate them.
That's all the time that we have for this episode of The Scoreboard. If you have any story ideas, please email us at scoreboard@tv8vail.com. And as always, if you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can find them all at thescoreboardnation.com. I've been your host, Brett Ferraro, and I can't wait to see you all next time.